This video guitar lesson is all about how to play the G7 chord on the guitar. I'm going to share several different ways to play the chord for a beginner, or if you're an intermediate guitar player, even advanced, some different ways you may not have seen before. Let's start with the most common way to play the chord, and if you're a beginner and you can't do it, right after that I'll share a very easy way to play the G7 chord. So you put your index finger on the high E string on the first fret. Then you put your middle finger on the second fret of the A string and your ring finger on the third fret of the low E string. And your ring finger and your middle finger need to be very curved so that you don't accidentally muffle these other strings. And of course your pinky is not in use, so make sure that it does not muffle any of the strings. So that was probably the most common way to play the chord. Here is an easy beginner way to play the G7 chord. Put your index finger on the first fret of the high E string, the first string, just like that. And then do not play the low E string or the A string. Just play the D, G, B, and high E string. I do not recommend putting your other fingers down here. I was just doing that so you could see that I'm not using them. Normally I would have those fingers right here, something like that. So the reason that is still a G7 chord is because it has all four notes that you need in order for the chord to be called G7. The notes that make up the G7 chord are the notes G, B, D, and F. Next, I'm going to share an advanced way to play the G7 chord, but after that I'll share some other ways that may be easy for some or intermediate, but it's going to sound great, and it's going to be the G7 chord. So please keep watching for that. So this is called a G7 bar chord, and if you're having a hard time with bar chords, I have another video and I'll put the link in the description. It has a lot of tips, a lot of information that'll help you, and also some exercises that you can do every day, and before you know it, you'll be able to play almost any bar chord, so please check that out. So you put your index finger across all 6 strings, and it's not completely flat and not completely straight or parallel with the frets, but it's at an angle and kind of rolling this direction here, like that, so I can play all 6 strings. And then I'm going to put my ring finger on the 5th fret of the A string, and I'm going to put my middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string, like that. So I put it all together. So there's some other ways I like to play the G7 chord. Let's check it out. So this chord only has 3 of the 4 notes that we need. It has G, which is on the 3rd fret of the low E string using your middle finger. Then it has the note B on the 2nd fret of the A string. And then it has the note F on the 3rd fret of the D string. So it's just missing the note D. So this would be called a G7 No 5. So if you've ever seen that before, N-O and then the number 5, that's what that means. And if you want to add this note right here, this is another B note, and that's the 4th fret of the G string. Sounds like this. And here's another way to play that same kind of chord. So this is the same notes, just an octave higher. You put your middle finger on the 5th fret of the D string, your index finger on the 4th fret of the G string, and then you can either put your ring finger or your pinky on the 6th fret of the B string. You can also switch your fingers around like this and then add this extra G here on the 3rd fret of the high E string. So that's putting your ring finger on the 5th fret of the D string, middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string, pinky on the 6th fret of the B string, and index finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string, like that. Or we can go back to the way we had it before, but use your ring finger on the 6th fret of the B string, and then your pinky on the 7th fret of the high E string, and that adds another B note there. And here is one more way to play the G7 chord I'd like to share. It's a lot higher up the neck, but it has a unique sound. Let's check it out. You put your middle finger on the 9th fret of the D string, your ring finger on the 10th fret of the G string, your index finger on the 8th fret of the B string, and your pinky on the 10th fret of the high E string. And of course the challenge with this one is your fingers get kind of jumbled together there, but if you can do it, it has a nice sound. Well, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please let me know in the comments. And please subscribe to the channel Guitar Increase. My name is Brett. Thank you so much for watching.